Today is 18 November 2023. We will have our conversation quite simple, quite clear. We are kind of having our break in off season, kind of supposed to sleep a bit and do other things, but we will work with that model at the chart. As you can observe that we will have the division of two areas. 1100 is the first thing you will notice when you do the entry, but sometimes in the past you couldn't get, for instance, internal distortion because you do not have the proper value to feed your architecture as machine decision, I would say, or automatic workflow. And this affects the efficiency of the instrument that you are using to do the decision, which isn't most proper and can't be properly made because the machine couldn't drill down the matrix as array of information at that time. We set a new value, a group of new values that allow it now to qualify the substance of the elements that your machine reading did the reading. We are reporting this today. Cgq Moutinho, 17 November, Friday. Academic theory about economic and financial control that turned into an independent effort, self-supported and acting by self-defense, even at private living or privacy, as issues even invented you can get in touch with. By circumstance already exposed, we offered: number one, model to disable parallel microarchitecture of communication based on the interconnective and remote access to keep not authorized interference. We asked why you have so much interest and act so much strong to keep those interference, and had no reply from institutions. We act by guarantee. In general, you are in your private living. The interference made breaking barriers or cracking your instrument and the embedded architecture of it. It's made by parallel or peripheral instruments to router you and repeat your signal. In general, you got logged in one of those instruments that, as you can observe in the next chart, will spread the signal to other instruments linked with. It's according with accounting principle, and in a very specific moment you have the cross-cut or the cut as common space by this counting principle, and if you set a noise, this noise will be exposed. Number two, pattern observed in other areas. Same reply by financial paycheck against institution that do not accomplish a dismissal list of illicit orders and procedures, and others previously complained since 2014 because the criminal activity allowing and preparing this from institution only goes inside institutions or by anyone with a domain of that, like a retired judge that she do retard acts like nepotism. And we put the instruments to present, for instance, in the that indeed are representing the institution misused at the level, the level as power, to talk about the offenders that is in this kind of domain, and they didn't. Number three, judicial proof and international fact legally proved by the Blind Eye Association of all institutions and elements caught as an institutional decision, and the drill down as model but corruption exposed. We will have three models here, and we will have those three models at the chart or at the board to help us to get things straight, because the machine must do the most proper decision. Against pandemic criminals, and this decision must be properly made, even in a local area as a tiny city. The model we have is quite simple. It goes like this. I will observe that I had my architecture cut with the hands in the act, as Brazil and peers. Brazil and peers has institutions, public and corporate. Public and corporate. We will check that the failure at the public institution is the same failure at the corporations, domestic. In the same way, at the public international department or peers or authorities in Brazil, doing acts without excuse as having those acts. For instance, if you sign at a procedure, indeed, we will check that they all formed a parallel architecture. This model we observed before was the departments with failure inside got linked by failure or INST, unveiled as solidarity as purpose as a unique thing, pandemic criminals. I have my institution Brazil, I have my institution public. I have also my institution international in Brazil, my institution corporation in Brazil. I have my matrix as guarantees to defend myself and the interests that I'm representing. For instance, you all are different as the expectation as legal accomplished, traced, doing procedures from institutions but unveiled as criminal purpose by blind eye, Article 13 combined with 313A of the criminal law. Observed fails that you had at least since 2014 internationally complained law 12,850, allowing me to do this in Brazil as application of the international jurisdiction against all institutions, domestic and corporate, Brazilian, international public and international corporate in Brazil. By misuse of power, we request the conviction and the consequence applied in the way is valid and affordable or validated by the International Criminal Court, by the corruption, as you could observe, common trace, by the antitrust justice in USA and Europe, because this project was offered as white label to USA and Europe. The paycheck is about 40 trillion on present time, considering this tiny city Saquarema Rio de Janeiro, the embedded architecture as federative unit with 27 states and one unique federation, all integrated on budget by silence and crimes, including the international peers global. The talking as public and corporate, complained also at the G20, and of course that the leadership of all this has much more heavy, I would say, qualifications in a negative way. The self-determination this architecture did is as criminal organization, because the institutional power is a hierarchical distribution of power that regular institution, as we proved in Rio de Janeiro. The problem is not the power, but the user of the power, that she has on its own hands the misused. Misused, we proved a dozen times to cover power previously misused, at least since 2014. Scapegoat things, keeping the fake records as a small curtain, even by analogical or digital instruments. But since we put a newsfeed that, for instance, is a lie, you got crossed by the dialogue and allowed to make the step and cluster people beyond the limits as range of interference. Kind of, we did an interference back to have this array prepared to be convicted and suffer consequence according with the expectations you have, all consequence affordable, including the paycheck as 40 trillion and the case as suggested 12 billions. The court have condition to research everything and do the compensation as accomplishment of rights according with the ethical premises on justice that we used against the crime, because sometimes the judicial power is the criminal organization as itself, as we observed in some areas. Right? Have a great Saturday.